Hi, it's been a while, right? So today on stream, I'm gonna do two things. First thing is I'm gonna finish writing the article for part 21. We finished creating the content for part 21 way earlier this month, like 6th of June or something. We had a stream, right? So we had the final spawning system and the project files are on Patreon, but the how to do guide is not on yet, and that is what the article is there for. So I'm gonna be spending today writing the article. Hopefully this will be done at the end of the stream, and there is also one viewer request that I thought I would address as well, and it is, okay, let me find that comment first. So we had a comment from a viewer, and he's asking whether we can show how you can add sounds to your weapons. Let me find the comment. Here we go. So the request is for a short video article on how to implement sound effects specifically for all the different weapons. And well, he says he's tried doing it himself, but he's not been able to manage it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish up the part 21 article first, and then after that's done, then I will address this. So I probably will allocate about the last hour or the last half an hour to do this. So I'm just gonna get right to the article. So the last time when I was creating the enemy spawning system, I pasted all the quotes here, and now I have to explain what's going on, right? So it's been a while since I had a look at the project, so I'm just gonna run myself through the project again, just to see, just to give myself a recap of where we're at. So what we have here is a spawning system that is much easier to use, and also it allows us to spawn events, but the events will come in a while. Let me just kill some more. Yeah, so we have events like that where you have the flower wall appearing, which I'm pretty proud of. The flowers need more health, but otherwise everything is great. So besides the flower wall, we have other events as well. We also have an event where we have swarms appear, but I think that takes some time to come up. So let's wait for a while. So we have swarms like that, just like in the game, and well, I think that's pretty cool, And I'm not sure if we have implemented a knockback resistance stat, but let's have a look at that. So we have skeletons here as well, and the flower wall. I don't think we have knockback stuff. Right. Okay, I think I'm ready to write about it. So let's head over to the enemy spawner and let's look at replacing everything here. One of our series, we created an enemy spawner. A way to generate spawning system that we for example, possible spawn elements down. Okay. I need a screenshot for the flower wall, I can't find it. Oh, maybe I can just pull from the game itself. Huh? There we go. And just get a screenshot of this. Hi, sure. Okay, please. Wait, inside. Current script. Wait. Let me just remove this obsolete message so that I can get some nice screenshots of enemy spawner script. There a screenshot ready for it. Wave quota. If expand. Maybe you can just use a screenshot. What you want to do? Camp. I'm back. I'm back in Singapore now. Finished my holiday. Had a lot of fun, and yeah, I'm back and writing an article now. It's nice to see you as well. I hope you had a great time holidaying in New Zealand. I hope it wasn't too cold on the mountain. It's nice to see you again. Yeah, New Zealand is mentioned. Why is the font size for the chat so small? Let's see if we can increase the... There we go. This is a little bit better. Alright, there we go. So the chat's more obvious, you know. It's winter now, right? In Australia, south. It's really hot here in Singapore now. Gosh, it's the wind is barely any wind, so that's why it gets really hot here. But otherwise, you know, we have rain and stuff, so it's not as bad as like the cities having summer now. I think some of them are hitting 40. Like in China, you have a couple of cities hitting 40. That's really crazy. I don't know how they survive that. At least in Singapore, we are all surrounded by oceans, so then our temperature doesn't really fluctuate a lot. Even at night, we have temperatures like 28, 29, and then on really hot weeks, we can have temperatures at night even up to 31, 32, and you can feel the concrete just emanating heat, you know. I'm glad you like it. I like it a lot as well. It's a little... Actually, it's not as hard to explain as the weapon system revamp. But yeah, I'm trying to put everything into words now. But I'm glad you like it. Happy to hear that. Where are you from, JT? Are you from Australia as well? Maybe the north, like Darwin or something. It's more tropical, right? It's more comfortable temperatures over there. Or in New Zealand as well. I kind of like cold weather actually. You know, when I've been to Australia during winter, Tasmania during Tasmania was so awesome, man. Like it was like 5 degrees, and then you just hold up in the pub drinking some whiskey. That's the best feeling ever, you know. And the whole town is quiet at night. You never get it in Singapore. It's just always buzzing with activity over here. Stop. Okay. Okay. When I got the game files for the new enemy waves, there was an error where the health wasn't being updated. I don't know if this has been fixed. I'll check it out later. I haven't run across this bug, but chances are it might be on my end as well, so gotta check it out. This is it for the character or is it for the enemies? Okay, I'll pay attention to that. Thanks for helping to point out this potential issue. and restore weapons. Well, yeah, you will. Game development. Save, okay. Pause. Oh, if you put rigid body to the yes. And to place name. Us. Yep, it's all enemy spawner stuff today. I'm writing the article for it. You can download the files on Patreon at the moment. If you want. So if you want to check out how the enemy spawner works, you can just download it and play around with the values. So in the files you will find the enemy spawner object, and the enemy spawner itself is not used. It's replaced by a spawn manager and an event manager, which is what spawns the flower wall and all that sort of thing. So the new system is able to spawn flower walls like that. It's able to spawn swarms. So if you play the first level in Vampire Survivors, you will see swarms of bats fly towards you or swarms of ghosts. So the spawner is able to create events like these as well. And then the article is just explaining everything that is in the project files. was a larger screen. Okay, so then replacing the enemy spawner with creating script. Enemy spawner script. First thing we will do first thing we will do is create Pause. Click on. We'll also be creating an form. Spectacle then using okay. Okay. Form data. So use for data. Data. Will I change the enemy back to being scriptable objects? I don't think so. The reason for that is because the scriptable objects, they're redundant, because if we store the enemies as prefabs, right, then we already have a copy of all the enemy data inside the prefab itself. So then by putting the enemies in scriptable objects, we are just obsoleting the prefab in a certain sense, right? Because then we will spawn the prefab and then we will retrieve the scriptable object and then put the data inside it. Because the whole idea of a scriptable object is to allow us to store something inside our project, right? But then prefabs already allow us to do that. So I thought that it was an extra step, which is why I disconnected which is why I removed the enemy scriptable object altogether. I actually forgot I did that. To remind me, I wouldn't have remembered that. I have to make a mental note to put it in the article as well. I'm actually quite happy that all these changes haven't caused as much confusion as I expected, and I'm glad that the viewers in general, you know, like their comments that say, oh, you know, I like new enemy system better, because my concern was that, you know, such an overhaul, it's so many changes, right? Then, you know, then why some of you may be wondering why did we do it that way in the beginning, and then we're making so many changes along the way. So admittedly, the whole series could have been better planned, so then we don't have to, you know, recode so many things. But it is what it is, and I can't, in YouTube we can't go back and edit the videos, so we only have the option of creating new ones. So if you're out there, you're coding applications or you're coding games, you will see that these kind of things happen pretty often as well, because when you're making games, you're always, in a sense, you are creating systems that have never been created before, because you are creating something that's unique. So then whenever you deal with something that's never been done before, you will start off with a set of tools, and then you will find that your tools are insufficient, and then you will improve upon your tools over time. So it's a thing that happens out there as well. It's just when it happens here, then it's a little harder for us, or rather it's harder for me to teach this sometimes, you know. But I'm glad it's working, that whatever I'm doing is helping to get you to understand what's going on. You're building a rune system, but you've got each rune as a scriptable object, and then it just makes clones of them to store in your inventory. Maybe you can think about putting them as prefabs instead. Maybe putting them as prefabs would be easier, because then you won't have to transfer data from the scriptable object to your game object. Thank you so much. It's very nice to hear that. So you have an RNG for the stats, and you can pick up the same gem multiple times, and every one of it is different. So the scriptable objects are for the different effects of the rune, is it? If that's the case, then probably it's better to have the different runes as different scriptable objects. And there are a couple of ways to do that. You can, I probably have to look at your project to comment more, but you can, if you use different prefabs, then you can have every rune just have the same design, but then they have different scripts attached to it. And then so when you spawn the rune, you already know what you're gonna get if you know how to look for the markers. But if they're all the same sprite, then probably you can't tell except looking at them in the hierarchy. Or you can make it so that the rune is generic, and then every time you pick it up, then it rolls a die, and then depending on the die, you can select a different scriptable object to put the effect, to apply the effect to the character. So feel free to reach out if you get stuck. I'll be happy to help you, because you know when I answer your questions, or when I just or whenever you make a post on the forums or whatever, you point out something, right? Like I learned something about the project as well. I learned something about, you know, certain things I maybe should cover in the tutorial series as well. So it benefits me as well when I help you out. So it's a win-win situation, you know. But the only issue is just time, you know. We have 24 hours a day, and I think that's not enough. God should have created us with more than 24 hours a day, you know. I think that makes more sense. Because time is so short, so little time, and so many things to do. It's just broken, you know, with the amount of time that we have and the things that there are for us to do. Okay, I'm blanking out a little bit. I'm gonna make myself a cup of tea. I'll come back in 5 minutes, and then I'll continue on this article. You can continue posting your questions here, and I'll answer them when I come back. You maxed out Unity Cloud? You mean like you maxed out the 2 gigabytes that they gave you? So if you actually, I do have a suggestion here. Let me just, before I go and make my tea, right? So one thing that you can consider is, you can consider porting your project over to GitHub. And we actually have an article I wrote a long time ago for my students, because they run into this issue before as well. And just Google Unity GitHub Desktop, and you should find the second result will be my post. It used to be the first, and I'm pissed about this. It used to be the first until Google updated the algorithms to remove fake news, whatever that means. So then they deranked a whole bunch of smaller sites as a result. So then my page is no longer the first page, but you can look into this because GitHub gives you free repositories, right? So you can host your projects on GitHub, and there will not be a size limitation or a collaborator limitation. So if you upload your projects in Unity, you will get a 3-member limit. But then if you use the GitHub, then you can have as many people working on your projects at once. It's a little bit harder to use, I think, but not that much harder. And I think this article covers a lot of the essentials in setting up your project on GitHub Desktop. So do check it out. Alright, I'm gonna go and get my teammate. Heck. So Git is pretty awesome, huh? It's pretty amazing that we get all of these things for free, you know. You have Unity Cloud, and you have some free stuff from there, and then you have Git, and then like a lot of it is free as well, which is pretty generous of these companies. I'm sure they find a way to make money out of this, but still, it's nice to be living in this age where we get free stuff like that. Okay, let's continue writing the article. Wave data path with wave. Dance and see wave only simple wave means wave I'm possible according to the parameters well, that is definitely not by design. Like that actually less optimal way and then the more optimal way. It's just because when we put together the content, we just did it the less optimal way first. But I'm glad it helps. So with the optimal ways of coding things, yeah, I can see why it helps. For me when I cause I teach in a couple of tertiary institutions in Singapore as well. So one of my problems, I guess you can say they're problems, is that it's sometimes it's difficult for me to explain why to my students why certain things should be done in certain ways, and that's because I lack examples. And then right here, you know, just in the course of creating this series, you know, we go through, just because we create these things, right? So then we just have examples right here that a live case study that you can work with, and I'm glad that it works, and it helps you to see why there is a less optimal way, and then why this is a less optimal way, and then why something else may be more optimal way. Awesome, Mal. I was going to get this done today, but I think there's a lot of content, so I don't know if I can finish it. Today I might have to burn the weekend to finish out this article so that I can do the content creation recording next week. People describing yes. Okay. Pause. Controls. amount of time you set for this one interval 5, 10. You set your 2 minutes to respond. Respond. How many? Oh, the response. This is set. This way. It knows how Cause the wave. So these are the conditions that will cause the wave to end. Two possible or top of the most on This is a function that gets the one. Really makes the other function is get spawns. Function that generate bricks. So if we want 5, then this function will agree with so that and now that we have data That is time for us to create a new spawn. New replacement. New replacement. Now that we have spawn managers here. It's new spawn managers. Create a point to only expose variables that have name. Only expose. Just italicizing this word here for dramatic effect. Then So this new spawn manager is a lot simpler to work with. New spawn manager. Let me just reduce the quality of this image a little bit. Five. Oh, only has 3. this. This is very chill. Thanks for tuning in to the stream cruise. Just writing the article for the next part of our series. The article forms the basis for our videos. So after we do a whole bunch of code, usually I will try and record all the changes in the article. This is so that everyone who's following the series, you can get a reference of what's changed, and then from there you can pick up a couple of tips about coding, like in terms of how to organize your classes or the kinds of coding practices that you should pick up. It's all very tacit things. It's a little difficult to put into words, but it's just little architectural tricks to make your code more efficient and easier to use. As soon as you deviated from the videos, you got scared. I think static maps are fine as well. If you are comfortable with... Let me think. Okay, perhaps you would just have to make some small modifications to the enemy stats script. I don't think there is a lot of difference you have to make to your code if you're using a static map. Maybe I can record a video, or we can put together a video talking about how to, if you want to deviate and do a static map, and how to go about doing it. If you're gonna do that, it's probably gonna be like a part 2.5, and it's gonna cover that. Maybe I can make a note, see if there is something that we can cover. You have to update your enemy stat script to... Actually, you don't have to. I don't think there is that tied to the map. You know what? Keep me updated. Let me know how your endeavor goes. We have forums. Then you can post on the forums if you have any questions, especially if you run into errors. Because if you run into errors, then if you post a screenshot there and your code there, then it's... If we have the error, then it's a lot easier for us to help you to pick out what the errors are and how to fix them. Yeah, the forums are there because YouTube comments don't allow us to post pictures, so it's so difficult to debug without pictures and without, the entire console screenshot. All the best for your project. So at this point here, I think I'm just gonna take a break from the article for a while because we have a comment asking about how to add sound effects to the new weapon system. So I thought I should spend an hour covering that. So, and then probably we're gonna chop this hour up into like a 10-minute video, and then we'll post it as maybe part 16.5 or something. That would be helpful, right? Because we didn't go through how to add audio to the new weapon system. Cruz, are you making the game for a school project just out of curiosity, or is it just a passion project? Okay, I'm gonna go and grab a little something to eat. I'm a little hungry now. Like, give me 5 minutes. I'll be back. You can continue posting on the chat. I'll respond when I'm back. Passion also trying to use it as a portfolio. Nice. Passion is the best way to learn game design because it's really hard, man. Game coding is really hard. It's the hardest way to learn coding, but it's also the fastest way. So it's a great way to do it if you have passion. If you have no passion, then it's gonna be just hard and then it's not fun. If you have passion, then at least it's hard, but you can have fun while doing it. Alright, I'll see you in 5 minutes. JT, why do you say that your levels were at a suboptimally? What was suboptimal about it? Because I imagine I haven't really thought about that, but in the context of this project, I haven't thought about it. But if you want to add more levels, just duplicate the game scene, right? That should give you multiple levels in the way that Vampire Survivors does it. If you want to carry over, say, progress from a different level, then that's a whole different thing that we have to talk about. We can do it by having a save game file, and then we can retrieve the data from the save game file. There are a variety of other ways as well, but we will have to save data to the hard drive or somewhere where it's persistent, and then we can load data from there and inject it into the game. Let me finish my bread first, and then after that we will code the sound effects. Sometimes when I went back to previous levels and complete the stage, the next unlocked stage will be locked. Also, you want to have a lock and unlock system. How are you doing it currently? Are you doing it via player pref? Or are you doing it via like the same game file? So save games can be pretty tricky because it works a little different from how variables usually work. Because if you save a variable in your scripts normally, right, the variable is reset every time you unplay and play the game. But then if you save data that is persistent, then if you unplay and play the game again, it goes across your playthroughs, you know. So then because it works very differently, it can get confusing if you are new to dealing with save data. I only found the video a day before submission. Okay, so for saving, you will have to. Let me see if I can explain how saving works in a nutshell. So there are two ways to save data in Unity. The first way is to use player prefs, but player prefs is like the primitive way, and player pref is actually not meant for you to save your game data. It's meant for you to save things like, for example, your screen resolution, or things like, say, music volume and sound effect volume, you know, all the things on the options screen. These are what player prefs are meant to save, but you can save your player progress as well. It's a really easy way to do that. And how it does that is basically it just handles the storage of information to you. So whenever you save anything, right, you will have to think about how do you want to save the data. So you can imagine save data as just being text files. Maybe let me just show you how a save data can potentially look like. It's not exactly one-to-one how it looks like, but if you look at, for example, your scenes, right, you will see that it's actually just a whole bunch of values, a whole bunch of variables and the values that are related to these variables. So then this is called serialization. Serialization means you are converting your game data into text, right? Like your scene file is text, for example. Why? Because it's serialized. All the data in your objects are serialized into a text file. So when you're saving a game, you wanna generate a file that has this format as well. Usually in Unity, we will use or rather in games in general, you use this file format called JSON. And how JSON works is, JSON is basically something like this, right? Where you have variables, and then you have the values related to the variables. So then so for example, your player character, right? Say your player character has let's say a bunch of stats over here, right? All of these values can be saved into JSON, right? Then it will become a format like this. And then you want to pack everything into a JSON file. So for example, in your scene, you want to pack, say, all the things you want to save. Let's say all the enemies in your scene, the enemy's health, the player character's current stats, the items that the player character has. You can pack everything into a JSON file. There are certain functions that you can use to do that. If you look at our Metroidvania series, or if you look at our Farming RPG series, there are a couple of videos that talk about how to save, and then it talks about how to convert your game object data into serializable data that you can put into a file. And then when you load the scene, what your scene does is it reads the file, and then it just plugs in the data to your existing game objects. So for example, in the scene that we have, let's say for the player scene, we have default values that are set here, right? What we can do is we can set the player stat script to read from a certain file, and that certain file will be read, and then we will prefill all of the values in the file to the stats over here. So that is more complicated, but it's more powerful because you are able to store much more information. You can store level progression, because level progression is just a value. So if you were to store level progression, it's very viable for you to store them inside just player prefs, because you can just store it as, let's say, unlocked level. Let's say you have 5 levels, right? Then you just have to store a value called unlocked level or something, and then it goes from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. And then every time, say, you complete level 1, and it changes the unlocked level to level 1 and so on. So it's a very brief explanation, but I hope it helps. If you want to learn more, I'm sorry, there's no simple way around it. You're gonna have to follow one of our other tutorials. The Metroidvania one is a little buggy, admittedly. So the save system there is a little buggy, but you can get a sense of how saving does work in Unity. If you look at our series over here, saving, I don't remember which part it is in, but you can just look at the article and see how the saving is set up. Oh, the saving is under part 7. So if you're a patron, you can access the article. Otherwise, the video is free for everyone, so you can refer to the video as well and get a rough sense of how the save system works. Our video is timestamped, so you can just jump to the save system section. So there's a quick summary. I hope it helped. I'm gonna finish up my bread, and then we will look into how to add sound effects to your weapons. So the problem that Cruz had was that when you had new builds, player prefs get wiped. Why is your player prefs getting wiped? That's strange. Did you change the name of your game when you rebuild it? So player prefs is weird because player prefs is saved inside different places depending on your platform. So in Windows, for example, right, player prefs is actually stored in, let me see if we can find player prefs for you. So in Windows systems, for example, player prefs is stored inside the registry editor. I forget where it's under actually. It's somewhere in Unity or something. Let me just do a quick search. Player prefs, Windows. So Windows is stored here under key current user, and software, and then you should have Unity somewhere inside here. Sorry, it's not Unity, it's example company name. Alright, and then after that you have all the, so these are all the player prefs for Vampire Survivors, for example. And then you also have, depending on what you put your company name when you exported the project. So for example, if I go to build settings here and player settings here, if my company is default company, then what you will find is under registry editor you have a default company somewhere, and then inside you'll find a player prefs for your game. So it's hidden somewhere in your registry, and if you change your company name, this affects your, or if you change your product name also, this affects the ability of the program to read your player prefs. It's tied to your company name and your product name. That may be why your data is wiped. The version increments. It's possible. Actually, I don't think it's the version increments. The reason being that, because if you look at Vampire Survivors is built in Unity, so in the Vampire Survivors data over here, it doesn't take into account the version. It's just the name and the company name. So it might be something else that I haven't mentioned. So maybe if you do a Google search, you can find the reason for that. So in Android, it's package name, and oh yeah, perhaps Android there's a version number here, so it might be because of this. Yeah, it's possible that it's the version number that's causing the issue. Okay, I'm gonna get started on adding sound effects to the project here. I'm just gonna play around with adding sound effects and see where this gets us. In terms of sound effects, you know, we have to identify first where are the parts in the game we want to have sound effects. Let me see the comment again. The comment says how to implement sound effects specifically for all the different weapons. Tried doing this myself and have not been able to manage it since improving the entire weapon system. Find it slightly confusing. Find the most effective way to implement weapon sound effects. The best way to implement weapon sound effects are in the effects themselves. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, maybe let me just download a couple of sound effects. Okay, let's start with the easiest sound effects to implement. These are sound effects for the different VFX that we have. So I'm gonna just go to freesound.org. Over here we have a whole bunch of free sounds that we can add into our game. And adding sounds are actually a pretty simple affair. Okay, let me just search for lightning. not too bad. Okay, let me just pull this lightning bolt. As long as you create order of sound. Oh, sorry about that. Let me turn down the volume over here. I hope I didn't scare any of you. Gonna adjust my volume a little bit here, and hopefully that solves the issue. All the lightning sounds are so long. This is like really the best. Okay, let me download this. And I'm also gonna do a little bit of editing as well for the sounds. Go ahead for this here. So Audacity is a program that's been around for forever, and it's great for if you wanna, cause if you find free sounds online, they're not always going to be in the style that you want. So then I like to just jump into Audacity and just play around with the sound. So for example, if I want to speed it up, I can just do that. Back, change speed. Say speed multiplier of 2, and this will kind of compress the sound a little bit. Because the sound should be snappy, right? Because we're gonna have a lot of lightning bolts coming down, so I don't want every sound effect to drag out. It needs to be like snappy. This is what I'm gonna do here, and I'm also gonna clean up like the back of the sound to kind of save space. This is what we get. Alright, so I'm gonna export the audio here as a WAV file. Lightning. Also gonna have to. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen, right, for Audacity. I'm so sorry about that. I'm editing it inside Audacity. This is a program. What I did was Audacity. You can go to Effects, and then you can go to Pitch and Tempo, change speed, and multiply it by 2. This shortens the file. Then I can also shorten the file a little bit. This is what we get. And I'll save this as a WAV file. Make the lightning bolt. Export. And let me just keep a reference for this because I'm gonna need this for the sound effect. I'm gonna need to credit the sound effect. And then once that's done, I can go ahead and import this into my project, right? So right here, Unity, and then let me just find some place to drop it. I don't think we have audio folder, so I'm just gonna create an audio folder here. Lightning bolt. And then over here, there are a couple of things that we can play around with in terms of loading the sound effect. I'm just gonna leave them at the default values, and for short sound effects for the compression format, you can actually do 80 PCM, so make the sound quality a bit higher. Because the small files sound effects, usually you can use PCM or 80 PCM. For this is for like sound effects, like for background music that's really long. Otherwise we usually use PCM or 80 PCM. And yeah, that's about it, and we can start using it. So where do we want to place the audio? The simplest way to place audio is if you know that the effect only plays once, right? You can just actually, so for example, for the lightning bolt, I'm just gonna go to the prefab here and just add a, you just turn down the volume on the Spotify. So what I'm gonna do is just add a audio source over here, and inside here I'll just place an audio clip. This is the audio clip that I just added, lightning bolt, and just gonna do play on awake. And so what this thing does is that there's no loop here, right? So then this particle system is already designed to destroy itself after it plays once. So then the good thing about attaching the sound onto the VFX is there's no code needed, there's no real behavioral coding needed. You just need to add a audio source, make sure that it's set to 3D, and volume is set to 1, right? And then after that, you just gotta place it onto the scene. So then every time that the particle effect plays, you will get the sound. Yeah, you get the sound whenever it plays. And well, that just makes it tremendously convenient. Alright, so adding an audio source to each of the effects that you have, that you want for the effect itself, can help you to add sound effects to a lot of the things in your game. So let me just find the sound effects for, say, when the player gets damaged as well. So I'm just gonna add this player hurt tool as well. This is really common. Sound here. Yeah. So that's why I don't have to modify this a whole lot. I'm just gonna drop it into the project under the audio folder. And here it's like this, right? And 80 PCM. Again, I'll add this to the sound, to the VFX. Oh, you know what? Maybe this is not the best sound effect, because you want to have like blood splashing, right? Surprisingly easy, right? So as for the adding effects to some of the other things in the game are not that simple. For example, your projectiles not that simple. But yeah, you know, otherwise it's pretty straightforward if it's just for effects. I need a gushing sound. Maybe a hit sound. This is loud. So we can have I think this step sound is pretty nice. Let's use this. So we have here, this is lightning. Then this is, let's not use this. So step sound as well. Step sound, I'm just gonna use it for both the block and the knife sound later on. Let me just download sound here. And I'm not gonna modify this because I think it's all good. So I'm just gonna import this into project, audio. And it's gonna be PCM, sorry, 80 PCM, right? And I'll delete player hurt. And this step sound, I'll just add it to the VFX for player damage. So here again, audio source and step and 3D sound, and then same thing for the block VFX. Here, step and 3D. Same thing here. Step and 3D. So then all of these effects now, they will have a sound effect together with the lightning. So let me just get my player damage and I'll show you. Okay, I can't really hear the sound. I'm gonna have to turn up the volume a little bit. Maybe not make it so loud. Okay, so then we have a sound effect now for when the player gets hit. And this is attached to the VFX. So this is the first way to do it. For some of your other weapons, adding sounds are not so straightforward. So for example, like with your whip, right? So with your whip, of course, one way of doing this is again to add a sound effect to the whip, right? So let's say if I have a whip, so then I can just use the whip sound as well. Whip right here. Whip. So then for the whip, again, we can attach the sound effect to the projectile prefab itself. So something like this, because it plays once as well, right? So again, 3D. Import the whip sound. And from here, 80 PCM, apply the changes. And where's the whip? Right here. So then over here, I can just add the sound effect here as well. And this will cause the whip to create sounds. Okay, this is the lightning, and then we don't have the whip. Let's try it like. Okay, let me see if I can get the whip. Can't find the whip now. Oh. Ah, there we go, whip. Okay, the whip is a little soft, but the sound is there. With swarms and stuff. So then one way is to just add the sound directly to the effect. For certain cases, this might not be possible. So for example, if you want to play a sound when, for example, when the knife hits something, right, you want to play a sound. That is possible as well. So for that, let me just maybe get a separate stabbing sound because I don't want to have the same stab sound as when the player gets hit. So let me see if I can find a different stabbing sound. Okay, maybe this one is quite soft, right? So with sounds, right, you actually want the sound to start right away if there's sound effects. So for example, if sounds like these, I will try and edit them. Because you want the sound to start right away, right? So if there's a gap between when the sound starts and when you play, then it's not a good thing. So for example, for my sound effect here, you see the sword step over here, because it doesn't come into effect right away. So I like to, you know, just cut off the extra parts here. This helps to save space as well, because sounds are very space. They take up a lot of space. But maybe this is not the best. Let me try this. Yeah, maybe let's try this instead. This is much better. Let's close this. And let's download this. I'll grab this sound. Bed number 2. So again, this sound, because there is space at the beginning, so after downloading this, I'm gonna have to edit the sound to get it to be, you know, so that there is no delay when I play the sound. I want the sound to play right away. So this means that there's a little gap here in the beginning. I'm gonna have to remove it. And I can just remove this excess part as well, because it's just there but it doesn't do anything. Alright, so this will be, let's say, for the knife. These are just some very simple sounds. Right? So the more you remove the contents of the sound, the better the more you'll be able to save space. And now I'll just import this into the project. Okay, so then the question now becomes, how do you make the projectile play a sound when it hits something? So over here, I'm just gonna add a little modification to the projectile. So just now we talked about how you can add sound effects to your objects by just adding an audio source to your effect, right? So then in the projectile over here, we can actually just make it play a effect. So what I would do here is I would actually see. I'm thinking about how to do it. It's not that it's complicated, it's just that, you know, I want it to be done in a way that I don't have to change it in the future, you see. So I'm thinking about how to go about doing it for the projectile. So if it hits something, I want it to play a sound, right? The best way to do it is actually to introduce a variable here called hit effects. Okay, object. And what this is if it hits something, then it's gonna play an effect. That's what it is, right? So I'm adding this line here, and then what this means as well is I am going to go over to on trigger enter 2D, and then when it hits something, right, I'm just gonna play. Oh, the hit effect is here. Okay, sorry. The hit effect is here, then we don't have to do anything over here, right? So if you want your weapons, let's say if you want your knife to play an effect when it to play a sound when it hits something, just create an effect for it. So for convenience sake, right, I'm just gonna use the effect that I have for the player, and I'm just gonna go over to scriptable object, weapons, knife, and then under knife here you see there is no hit effect, right? So I will just assign a hit effect onto it, and then now it will play an effect when it hits something. So we will have to, let me just log this. And I'm just gonna use the player damage, hit effect here. So now when knife hits something, it will play the player effect, the player damage V effect, which plays the sound. So let's have a look at how this plays out. Okay, this is the lightning bolt. What I want is knife. I want a knife. Oh, this is I got the lightning ring again. Well, now this is the garlic. I can't get a knife. There we go. So just add it to the effect, add the sound to the effect for the knife, and you will get a sound effect for the knife. Okay, so as for if you want to have hit effects for your aura, let's say your garlic, that might be a bit more complicated. Okay, for that, let me see if we are able to get the aura to play an effect when it hits something. So for the aura, how do we do it for the aura? Let's see. Okay, maybe for the aura, we might have to add a line of code. Because for the aura, right, we have a scriptable object for it, garlic, And the hit effect here. If we assign something here, does it work? Let me see. I think it works actually. Let me try. I'm gonna just put player damage for everything for now, huh? Okay, I need to find the garlic. Now the garlic is not appearing. Just give me a moment to get the garlic to appear as a weapon. This is just pretty terrible luck. Ah, there we go. Okay, so the garlic doesn't use the hit effect over here. So what I'm gonna do is just for the garlic, we're gonna have to add a line of code to get the effect to come out. We have to go to Aura script, and where's the Aura script? Let's see. Aura weapon effects, Aura. Okay, and over here when it damages something, right? Then we just have to check if there is an effect. If weapon data hit effect. Gets stats. Okay, there we go. So weapon dot stats. Oh, it's already here. Sorry. So stats, hit effect, destroy, instantiate, stats, hit effect. This will play on the enemy, right? Damage, stun on the enemy itself. So this will be pair form. So I'm just adding a piece of code to play a certain effect when the garlic hits something, and then this will have the garlic hit stuff. So what we have done here is for all of your projectile weapons and all that stuff, right? You just have to add it to either the projectile itself or the hit effect of the projectile, and that should solve the issue. Yeah, so just add audio sources to your different weapons, and you should be able to add sounds to all of your weapons. I don't know if I have missed anything. Let me know if I have missed something. But this should solve the issue here. So now if I add a little effect over here on the garlic. This should cause the garlic to play an effect. Let's try this, right? It's playing the sound now, but it's not playing the effect. Where is the effect here? Is it because it's in the wrong layer? Player damage VFX. Missing the effect. Am I missing something? Under projectile stats effect. Okay, my mistake here. I forgot to add a timer here. Okay, so what we have here is, I think the effect should come out now. Garlic. Let me try and get a piece of garlic. There we go. Yeah, and that's a summary of how to add sounds to your different weapon effects. I was gonna go through more things, but you know, maybe like I was gonna show you how to add effects. How to add sound effects to your gems as well. But I think we'll cover it another time because there are a couple of other ways you can add sound effects, but this is just a real basic way. And I'm also thinking of doing another stream on Sunday night, say probably like 9 PM or something, and then I'll just spend some time to do up proper effects for proper sound and proper effects for all these weapons, and then you know we can create a whole bunch of videos of that as well. So Ronin, it's a great suggestion that you have here because now I have ideas for a whole bunch of videos. And I'm gonna have to call it a day for this stream here. I'll see you all on Sunday. I'll be creating visual effects for all these different weapons, and I think that will be a lot more fun. A lot more than writing articles will be fun. So yeah, I've gotta go and do some cooking for dinner now. And I'll write a post for how to add sound effects on the forums tonight. And yeah, so just stay tuned, alright? So if you're subscribed, then when I arrange the stream, then you will see it on your feed. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for all the words of encouragement. I really appreciate it. So I'll see you all. Part 21 will be up next week, alright? I'll find time early next week to do up the rest of the article, and then we can do a recording for part 2. Okay, sorry, let me just answer Gentleman Gaming's question first. So do we gotta be careful about sounds overlapping if we have a bunch going off at once? I think Vampire Survivors only has the lightning play once, for example. Okay, that's a great question actually. Let me just answer that before I go on. Right? So if you look at the sounds that you have over here, right? Okay, in sounds, you have this thing called priority. So whether sounds play, how many sounds play depends on what kind of sound card you have. So different sound cards will have different numbers of sounds that are capable of playing. So whenever you attach an audio source, you can also attach a priority to the audio source. Alright, if it's low priority, it means that if there are too many sounds, the low priority sounds will be the first ones to go. And if you have high priority sounds, then they will always be there. Alright, so let's say if your sound card is able to handle 32 different sounds at once, for example, right? And then at the same time you throw a whip. I think I forgot to share my screen. Let me just change my screen over here. So I'm talking about this property over here. So every sound card, every computer has a sound card, and the sound card has a limit to how many sounds can play simultaneously. Alright, so if your sound card is able to support, let's say, 16 different sounds, I think that's a very low number, but you know, we use a low number just to make explanations easier. 16 different sounds, right? And then you have a lightning strike attack that hits maybe 9 enemies, and at the same time you have a whip that hits maybe 7 different kinds of enemies. Alright, so if the whip sound has a higher priority than the lightning bolt sound, for example, then if I have too many whip sounds and too many lightning bolt sounds, then the whip sounds will get chopped off. So maybe if you hit 7 enemies, you may not be able to play the sound on all 7 enemies. You only be able to play on certain enemies, depending on how many your sound card is able to support. So you adjust the priority to control how likely is it that if there are too many sounds, this sound will get cancelled. That's all you got to worry about. Yeah, you don't have to. So in Unity, when you have audio sources, what audio sources do is that they will pinpoint the location, they'll play the sound from that location. And then this sound is actually related to the audio listener that you have. I think for us, the audio listener is on the camera, right? So the audio source will play, and depending on the distance it is away from the audio listener, the sound will attenuate. This means the sound will become louder or softer depending on how far away it is from the listener. That is why it's very important for you to set the sound to be 3D. Alright, so then it attenuates. So if the bat is far away or the enemy is far away, for example, the sound will become softer. Automatically, all of this stuff is handled for you. Yeah, I hope this answers your question. And I'm going to call it a day now. I'll see you. Any more questions, post